Morning. Now, I've had some thoughts rattling around in my head. I'm trying to look at this, the dot where the actual film, the camera is, rather than look at me, which is there. So at least I'm looking directly at the camera. But I didn't have a very good night's sleep last night. I woke up about 5 to 4 and then I couldn't get back to sleep. I got into this thought process about reincarnation, death and reincarnation. Now, it's something that nobody can actually prove, but when you hear all these stories of these children talking to their parents about their previous lifetime just a few years ago, and you have to start thinking, it's as though they have lived that life because they speak in a kind of manner that shows that they're much more adult. So perhaps it is true. And if it is true, then this idea of not existing after death is a falsity. It's a lie. Just to think of it, okay, you've got, when you die, and we're all going to go through that process. We're all going to get there because our bodies fail. And at some point, we're going to have to face that. I'm closer to death than a 20-year-old person is. But that 20-year-old person could die in an accident, a car crash or whatever, or some kind of disease. So we never know. We never know when our number is up. But if we focus on this aspect of reincarnation and you think about the actual process of it, okay, you die and you've got possibly 3 options. There may be more, but I'm just going to focus on these 3 options. Okay, one is that you die, you give up this mortal coil, the lungs stop breathing, the heart stops beating, your mind stops thinking, and everything just comes to a halt, and you lie there and that's it. And whatever this consciousness was in your body, this spark of light, it's just diminished. It's just faded away and gone. And that's one option. You don't exist anymore. That's it. You just become worm feed. Now, there are 2 other options when you die. One is that you go to heaven, and one is that you go to hell. If you go to hell, that means that you've been a bad person, a malevolent force in the world that has done nothing but nasty things to everybody else and everything else, every living being. And then if you go to heaven, you're classed as a benevolent force, which has done nothing but good, or strived for goodness. Now, if either one of these are true, then I'd rather hedge my bets. I'd rather try to be a good person, because I don't want to go to hell and suffer all that for eternity, all that pain, not just physical pain, but emotional pain too. And there are people who've come back from near-death experiences who have said they go through a tunnel of light and then they get shown this beautiful place and get guided by these spirits that come in to help you process the actual dying process and giving up the body, because it must be a hell of an adjustment. No, heaven of an adjustment. You want it to be true that the bad people pay the price for all their bad deeds and they go to hell. They rot in hell forever. Especially people who harm children. And you want it to be true that the good people get all the gifts that have been stored up for them as they've been working through them, for them throughout their lifetime. However, there is another option, and there's this reincarnation type option, which, when you think about the process and the idea of it. I'll try and sum it up, okay, in the actual, with the ideas that I've collated over the years, over a lifetime of this being thrown in my face all the time. Not just that, but synchronicities, messages, books that I've read, films that I've seen, people I've met and talked to. And while it is an exciting option because you're getting to live another life, it's also a bit of a wearying one too. Because I've gotten to this point in my life and I'm thinking, I'm just tired of it all. I'm drained of energy. I feel I want to stop the world and get off. It's like I'm on a bus journey that I'm sitting on this bus that's going nowhere, and it's going around all these wrong routes, over bumps and over ditches, and just keeps jolting around, and I'm getting overcharged, and all these people are getting on board and getting off that I'll never even know. Just these figures that appear. That's a kind of a metaphor that I use for life. When I see all the people around me, when I step outside this door, and I come across people that I think, am I part of this world, or am I just observing it? What is that person to me? Who are they? Yeah. What life lessons have they learned? What are they supposed to be teaching me? What am I learning from them? When we get off that bus, when it's our turn, when it's our stop, the end of our life has come. The reincarnation process goes something like this. I'm not saying it's true, but this is what I've learned over the years, okay? So just take it as you will. You come to the end of your life and you get invited through this benevolent process. And you go through this tunnel of light and you meet these wonderful beings. You meet your family, your friends that you've loved throughout the ages, throughout your whole lifetime. And they welcome you and they help you adjust to living without your body. Your spirit is free now. And then you go through to this place where you have this big screen in front of you and your life history is played out before you, like a movie, I guess. And then all the good and bad stuff that you've ever done throughout life and how that's affected people are shown to you. And you're asked, what lessons have you learned from it? And then you get given the choice of what type of character would you like to be next? And you have all these other souls around you, this party of people that have agreed, have made a contract with you to go back down into this physical form and live out this life again to learn new lessons. Now that is an idea, it's a theory, because nobody can prove it. To me, if that is true, I feel as though I've had enough. This life on this earth is too cruel. It's tiring. It drains me. And then I came across a book which gave me some answers. I'll put the link below. It's another idea, another theory, another way of thinking. And it says that life review that you go through, you're invited to watch your life unfold on the screen in front of you, is something that you don't have to go through if you don't want to. It's a kind of judgment process. But all you have to do to not go through that and then not be invited back down into this earth, into physical form, and to live another life to learn new lessons, is to say, no, I don't want to be judged. I want to accept the sacrifice that was made by the blood of Christ. It seems so simple, doesn't it? And that's what ends this reincarnation cycle, apparently. You see, throughout my life here on this earth, I've always had in my mind, I should have gone the other way. I should have turned left instead of right. I should have made that decision instead of that one. I should have put the plug in the other way instead of forcing it into, like the USB connections. They've got a hole on one side and then something on the other that won't allow you to go in. And you have to put it in a certain way. But every time you turn it over, it resists, doesn't it? It's the other way you have to turn it to get it inside the hole. And always, 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 I always have to do it the other way. I never get it right first time. It's not like you're practicing something and then you get perfection. It's that again and again and again, you always have to plug in the wrong way. I kind of think, I don't want to go through this again. It's like the karma thing. Karma is something that's either one of two things, as far as I know. Either that you pay for the things that you've done in this lifetime, or it's something that you're paying for constantly for previous lifetimes. So like if you're a really nasty person in a previous life and you had this soul contract with this group of people and you are really quite a nasty person, then in your next life you become a person that is opposite to that. Say if you were a bully in the previous life, then in this life you'll be the victim, and that's the soul contract that you make. Again, another theory, because I don't know. So you're paying in this lifetime for what you did in a previous lifetime, but not only that previous lifetime, but the lifetimes that you've ever lived before. Nice idea, I guess, but how are you supposed to know if you get squashed into this physical body and then take your memory wipe? How are you supposed to know? That's a cruel thing to do, isn't it? Surely. And then that brings me to the subject of suicide and people who choose to end their lives. Nowadays, it's not so much a choice as an option that's been forced upon people, especially in Canada. I think of euthanasia. Euthanasia is an option that you take because you're in pain, physical pain mainly, or that your life is about to come to an end, so it just hastens it, and it's a kind way of doing it. It's what they call, in this country, what they used to call it, the Liverpool pathway. But if you take Canada, for instance, they're giving people the option of ending their lives just because they feel sad, depressed, or disabled, or unable to feed themselves. And if you don't believe that, I will try and find some links and put them below. And that's really cruel. That's murder. That's not suicide. It's not helping anybody, is it? It's not helping them to give meaning or a purpose to their life. It's just saying you're a waste of space. Get off. Get off at the next bus stop. But if you take your life like my stepfather did, I have heard through many sources, and I've tried to discourage people from ending their lives because of this. People who commit suicide are not in the right frame of mind. They're not. They obviously are happy just before they do it because they've made the decision and they know that that's it. But prior to that, they were very, very upset and unbalanced in their minds. And they just made a decision because they come to the end of their tether. And I often think about how they think just prior to doing the actual deed. I mean, What drove my stepfather to stand on the wall of a car park, I think it was 4 or 5 stories high, look down over the edge and then just deliberately fall or jump? I'll never know what he did. What was he thinking just before he did that? What was he thinking as he was going down? Were there any thoughts that were going around his mind as he hit that concrete floor? Did he experience any physical pain? Was he frightened? I say all of this without tears because I've gone over and over and over it in my mind so many times. And I have cried before. But after a while you run out of tears, don't you? You think, well, that was a selfish act. To not even want to be able to talk to somebody, to leave a trail of destruction in your wake, to leave people upset and hurt, heartbroken because of the decision that you made just before you died, chose to end your life. It's not a nice thing to do. And this is why I always encourage people to just live out your life to the bitter end. I mean, once you've made that decision, that's it. That's it. You've gone. And you've gone on this pathway to either just non-existence, to heaven or to hell, or to this reincarnation process. People who choose to end their life because they can't stand it anymore, can't take all the shit that's been thrown at them, it's not a courageous thing to do. It's an act of cowardice because you're not willing to go through the pain of life. And life isn't meant to be all pretty and roses and lovely hearts everywhere. It's meant to be an experience that we go through, we learn lessons from. This earth is a school, and if you choose to play truant, then you get reprimanded for it. If you choose to end your life, what happens? What happens to that soul? I've been told, and I've read, that if you commit suicide, you choose to end this suffering that you're going through, and you choose not to go through it anymore in this body, then whatever you were suffering from in this body, in this lifetime, when you come to that point of ending it, you will carry on suffering. But the suffering will last for eternity, and it won't be pleasant. Again, it's another theory. So if that is a possibility, I urge you not to do it. I urge you just to go through this life to the bitter end so that you can experience everything that this life has to offer. Anyway, bit deep today, isn't it? But I woke up 4 and I'm really tired now, and that sun's getting in my eyes. That's a bit better. But it's just thoughts going through my head I wanted to get out. Bye for now.